Good morning, friends. I am Sunil Desai, and you are at Galaxy Online Learning. Now we are going to study economics, the first chapter of 10th CBSE textbook, and the name of the chapter is Development. Okay, and as usual, I hope you have your textbook. The textbook is very necessary while studying this chapter. Okay, the textbook, notebook, pen, pencil, everything should be ready with you. Okay, so now let us start with development. Okay, now every one of you likes to progress, to develop, and everyone has his own idea of development, own idea of progress. So everyone has his own aspirations. So the idea of development is different for different persons. Now, just like we as a person want to develop, similarly, we also want our country, our nation to develop. And since our criteria, our aspirations are different, naturally, the people living in the nation will have different aspirations of progress. So, let us see how we can see the country is developing, or development in the national development means what? Okay. So now let us come to page number 4 of the textbook. What development promises? Because in a country there are different types of people. Naturally, as I said, they are going to have different goals. Okay. See, here they have given a table 1.1. Table, just look at this table. Table 1.1. I hope you have kept your books open. Okay. So just let us see table 1.1. There they have given developmental goals of different categories of persons. Now they have given a picture where you see an rickshawala. Okay. Now for this rickshawala, what will be his goal or his developmental goal? First thing, if he is riding someone else's rickshaw, you will see that he can buy his own rickshaw so that he can earn more, instead, because he has to pay for the owner of the rickshaw. Okay, so he is not going to aspire for a car. But what will see that how his livelihood, we can get more money. So first we will see that he can buy his own rickshaw, so he gets more money. Now here they are given different developmental goals of different persons. Okay. Now in the category of person, the first one is a landless rural labor. So for a landless rural laborer, what will be the developmental goals? Naturally, he would like more days to work, a better wage, so that he can earn more. He will also see that there is a local school available, so that he can send his children to school so they can get education. And he will like that people should not discriminate him, since he belongs to a low class, so people should not discriminate him. Okay. And he also may have the aspiration that one day he will become a leader in his village. People should respect him. Okay, so this may be the aspirations or developmental goals of a landless laborer. Now, let us see what does a prosperous farmer from Punjab. Now, as you know, because of the Green Revolution, Punjab farmers have become very rich, prosperous. Okay, so for him, what will be the developmental goals? For him, assuring a high family income by that he will see that the government gives him high support prices for his crop which he produces, high support price for the crop he produces. So what will happen? He will get more income. Then he will also aspire that he gets cheap labor and hardworking people working for him in the field. So again, if he gets hardworking people and at a lesser wages, his profit will increase. That will be his aspiration. Then he will also aspire that now that he has a sort of money, he may aspire that his children may go abroad for studies. So what you see now, the aspirations or the developmental goals are changing from one category to the other. Now farmers who depend only on rain for growing crops, for them what may be the aspirations? For them the aspiration means at least this year there should be proper rainfall. Okay, there won't be shortage of water, or he should also aspire that the government gives proper irrigation facilities. There should be a dam, canal, so that he can irrigate his farm very well and he can get a good harvest so that his income may grow. Okay. Now for a rural woman from a land owning family, a woman who has belongs to a family which has land. For her, again, the harvest has to be good. She could get her children should go to school. Okay, she should be able to go out. She should be able to wear good clothes. Okay, then she could go out and make merry. Make merry means enjoy life. Okay, so that may be a woman from a household which owns land. Okay. Now, for an urban unemployed youth, what will be aspirations? For him, the aspirations may be that he should get a good job. The job should be a secure job, permanent job, so that he can earn money. Okay, he can have a secure source of income. For a boy from a rich family, what will be his aspirations? That there should be malls in his city or town. Okay, he could be able to buy branded clothes, branded goods. He could be able to go out in a car. He could have his own car. Okay. At the same time, what may be the aspirations of a girl from a rich family, a rich urban family? She may feel that she may also get the same freedom what her brother gets. Okay, so that she can also decide what she wants to do with her life, just like her brother does. She may also think of going abroad for studies. So her goal may be different. And what may be the aspirations of an Adivasi from Narmada Valley? So Narmada Valley, as you know, because of the Sardar Sarovar Dam, many Adivasis were displaced. So for him, the aspiration may be that government, instead of building such huge dams, they should have check dams so that he won't get displaced, or if he is displaced, he should get enough of land. He should be resettled properly. His rehabilitation should be made in a proper way. Okay, he should get land where he can again start cultivating. Okay, so these are the different aspirations of different people. Okay, different type of people. Okay. So what you see is that the aspirations differ, but one common aspiration which you see is everyone wants a good income, more income or more income. Why more income? Because everyone feels that if they have more income, they can buy material things. A rich person may think he can buy a car, he can buy a bungalow, he can buy land. So, what is it? That they can buy material things. But is that enough? That's what we are going to study in the next unit. Okay? But at the same time, you have to remember that the development goals of different persons are different. But sometimes what happens, the development goals of one person may be destructive for the other. Just like the Adivasi in the Narmada Valley. Okay, having a dam as big as the Narmada Sarovar Dam may be good for the industrialist. Why? Because he may get good electric supply because of the hydroelectric power. He can run his factory well, so it will be a boon for him having a dam like Narmada Sarovar. But at the same time, it will be destructive for whom? Poor people like the Adivasis who will be displaced from that area. So, it's not necessary that every time a development for someone will be development for everyone. It may be destructive for someone. Here in the picture, there's what you see is a man driving a car, and you could see from what you could see that because when he drives the car, what happens is that what is given out? Carbon monoxide. You can see from the exhaust. Okay, and a lady, poor lady, she is sitting with a child in the arms under a charpoy. Okay, so he is throwing out gas, a poisonous gas like monoxide, carbon monoxide, and her, and that is going directly in the lungs of a younger one. So he is driving a luxurious car. For him, that is development. But that same car is giving out deadly gas like carbon monoxide, and which is harming the poor ones who are living on the roadside, on the streets. Okay, so that's why it is said that the development for one may be destructive for the other. Now let us see income and other goals which are a part of development, which are necessary for development. See, if you go to table 1 and 1.1, you see that first thing everyone looks at for income, that the income should increase so that they can get more money, and if they can get more money, they can buy more material things. But they also desire that they should get regular work, they should get better wages, then they should get respect. Okay, so along with more income, people also look for equal treatment. They also look for freedom. They also look for security and respect of others. Okay, they don't want discrimination. Right? So all these are important developmental goals. So sometimes what happens, this is more important, that this developmental goals like respect, this less of discrimination, sometimes become more important than income. Okay, because money is not all that you need. You need other abstract things also. Okay. See, that is why. See, you need friends with whom you can share your emotions. You have everything. You have a good house, good family. Okay, you have your parents are ready to spend on you, but still then you need a friend to share your emotions. Okay, so that's why friends are for. So a person may be rich, but if he doesn't have friends or if he doesn't have relatives, will he live a good life? Will he enjoy his life? No. Okay? So, there are many things that are not easily measured, but they mean a lot to our lives. These are often ignored. However, it will be wrong to conclude that what cannot be measured is not important. You can't say that what cannot be measured is not important. It is important. It may not be seen. You can't, like with money can be seen. You can buy material things which can be seen. But there are certain things in life which are abstract, which you don't see. You don't see happiness. You don't see, you see happiness, sorry. You don't see emotions. You don't see certain things are there which can't be seen. Okay? But still you need, like, you feel that you should be respected. You feel it. Okay? So such feelings are also very necessary. Now consider an example. If you get a job in a far off place, suppose now you are staying in Kharghar and if you get a job in Delhi. Okay, so before accepting it, naturally first thing what you are going to look is what income, what salary you are going to get. Right? Because you want to go far off to Delhi, leaving your place of Kharghar where you are living for such a long time. Naturally you feel bad. But if the income is, if you are getting a good salary, naturally you like to go. But at the same time, you will also like to see whether there are any facilities for your family. Then you will also like to see how the working atmosphere is over there. Then you would also like to see whether in that particular job you will learn something, or that job will give you some more extra knowledge for you to grow as a person or to grow in the job. Okay, that also here. Or you can take an example that you may get a job where you are going to get a very good salary, but chances are that there is no job security. Means you may have to resign anytime, or you may have to put in many hours of work, and there won't be any time for your family. And at the same time, you can compare with that, you may get a job with a little bit low salary, but it's a permanent job where you can get regular income. Naturally, you start thinking, what should you do? Whether to go for a high salary job where security is not there, but a job with a little low salary, but security is there. Okay? So for development, people for development also look at mixed goals. See, it is true that women engage in paid work, their dignity in the household as well as the society increases. If some lady is working, okay, and a working lady, she is given a little bit more dignity, she gets more dignity in the household also as well as in the society also. However, it also the case that if there is respect for women, if there is respect for women in the household, you can share housework. Okay, even if then what will happen? She will also feel dignified. If you share her housework, if you share the work of the lady in the household, she will feel dignified. Okay. At the same time, when the lady will go to work, if she finds the environment is safe where she is going to go and work, if the environment is safe and secure, then naturally more and more women will go out to work, will go out to do business. So that is also necessary for development, a safe and secure environment. Dignity is also important, respect for women is important, as well as safe and secure environment. Okay. Now, see, as you have seen, individuals seek different goals. So, their notion of national development. Now, let us see, this we saw personal development. Now, let us see what is national development. Each person has a different goal. Similarly, his notion of national development is going to change. Everyone is going to have a different notion of national development. Okay? See, it is very important to keep in mind that different persons could have different as well as conflicting notions about country's development. So, when we think about national development, we have to think about the fair and just way of development. Means the development which we are going to do for the nation, okay, which is going to take for the nation, it is a fair way. It is providing justice to everyone. It is whether it is going to benefit the majority or it is going to benefit only a small group. That is very important. That is very important in national development. Now let us see on page number 7, in this blue square there is a picture. What you see in this picture, there is a high-rise tower, and below this high-rise tower there is a slum. Okay, now what they have said is that look at the picture on the right and what should be the developmental goals for such an area. Okay, now what do you think? Should be the development goals for that area? Now this development goals again will be different for the people living in that high-rise tower. What will be the development goal? They will think that the government should evict those, ये सब झोपड़पट्टी जो भी है, स्लम है, उसको निकाल दे यहाँ से. Then they will feel, oh, very good, very kidney. Now the place is looking very clean, very hygienic, very safe. That's what they will feel. Whereas the people staying in the slum, what will they feel? That instead of building this high-rise tower, if the government would have built buildings which are for the lower income groups or the middle income groups, then these people from the slums could switch over and could stay in those buildings, and that will make that area a better place to live in. It will be more safe, it will be more secure, it will be more hygienic. Okay, so what you see is that so development goals will be different for the people living in the high-rise tower and the people living in the slum. Now the second point. They are given one newspaper report. Okay. See, the newspaper report reads as follows. A vessel dumped 500 tons of liquid toxic waste into open air dumps in a city and in the surrounding area. What had happened? A vessel dumped 500 tons of toxic waste in a city and the surrounding sea. This happened in a city called Abidjan in Ivory Coast, a country in Africa. The fumes from the high toxic waste caused nausea, skin rashes, fainting, diarrhea, etc. Within 30 days, after a month, 7 persons were dead because of this toxic waste. 20 were in the hospital and some 26,000 treated for symptoms of poisoning. Listen carefully, read carefully. A multinational company dealing in petroleum and metals had contracted a local company of the Ivory Coast to dispose the toxic waste from its ship. Okay, what? The toxic waste came from a multinational company which was dealing in petroleum and metal, and it had given a contract to a local company of the Ivory Coast, okay, to dispose the toxic waste, and that local company just took the waste and dumped it in the city and the neighboring sea. Now, listen to this question. Who are the people who benefited and who did not? Now, who are the people who benefited? It was the multinational company which benefited because they got rid of that toxic waste and now they don't have to bother. They gave a contract to the local company, so they paid for it. So now it is for the local company to look what they are going to do with the waste. So it was beneficial for the multinational company. Okay, but who didn't benefit is the people staying on that island of Ivory Coast, in the city of Ivory Coast. Those people who were staying in the city, they suffered a loss. A few died too. Okay, so this is how they were suffering. What should be the development goal for this country? So what do you think? What should be the developmental goal? The developmental goal should be that there should be first thing, this toxic waste should have been, there should be treatment plants for treating the toxic waste. There should be special dumping grounds instead of dumping something on the open. That toxic waste has to be chemically treated properly, okay, and then it should be dumped in a specific area where all the toxic things should be removed, and it would affect the surrounding area. That would have been that first developmental thing. Then providing health facilities to that people in that area is another developmental goal. Okay. Then punishing those people is also development goal who do something which is going to trouble the humankind, mankind, the human being. Okay. So these may be the developmental goals. Okay. So here they have given an activity. If even the idea of what constitutes development can be varied and conflicting, then certainly there can be differences about the ways of developing. I think you agree with it. Okay? If you know of any such controversy, try to find out arguments advanced by different people. You may do so by talking to different persons, or you may find it from newspaper and television. This is an activity for you. Okay? So please do this activity. Okay. Now we saw what is development, how development differs for different categories of people, how development for some may be destruction for others. That too also we saw. Now let us see how to compare different countries or states, whether they are developed or not. Okay? See, when we compare different things, they could have similarities as well as differences. Now, if we are asked to compare students of your class, students of standard 10th of your class. Now, see, there are so many different students. They differ in their height, they differ in their health, they differ in their intellectual, they differ in their interests. Some may be studious, some may be good in sports. Okay, so there are different types of people. Then how you are going to compare? How can you compare? So for different things you have to give a different category. For suppose if you want to choose for a sports team, you are going to choose the healthy people. There may be a studious guy, but he's not interested in sports. He is not friendly. Okay, he won't choose him for the sports team, but he may be chosen for a debating team. Okay, so for a music band in your school, you may choose someone who likes music. But suppose if you want to choose on the overall performance, then you have to look after more than one criteria. Okay, you will have to look for one or more characteristics, important characteristics of person, and compare them based on this characteristics. Okay. So this is true for development also. So for comparing countries, the first attribute, as we saw when we see the development of person, the first thing everyone wanted was money, income, so that they can buy things, material things. So while comparing countries, the income is considered to be one of the most important attribute. Okay, so money or the income of the country is considered as the most important attribute of development. So countries with higher income are considered to be more developed than the countries with lower income, because it is considered that those countries with higher income, they can buy material things. Since they have the money with them, they can buy material things and live a decent life, okay, which they need to live. Okay, whatever people like and should have, they will be able to get with greater income. So if they have the money, they can buy a AC, They can buy a fridge, they can buy a car, so whatever the need is, they can get, the need will be provided, which is their more money, they can satisfy their needs. Okay, so greater income itself is considered to be one important developmental goal. Okay, now what is the income of a country? How do you find the income of a country? Okay, what is the income? The income of the country naturally is the income of the people living in the country. Okay, the total income of the people living in the country is the income of the country. But now, just on the basis of the total income of a country, can you say which is a developed country or a not developed country? No, because if you consider total income is the income of the number of people in the country, of the population of that country, then there are countries with different populations. So naturally the countries which are highly populated, the income will be more than the the countries with low population. But does it mean that the countries with high population are rich just because their total income is more? No. So it is not possible to compare countries whether they are developed or not just by total income. So what you need is that to know the average income. Now how is the average income found? That the total income of that country, of the total population, you have to divide with the population of that country. So when you divide the total income of the country with the population of the country, what you get is the average income, or you can also call it as the per capita income. So what is per capita income? Total income of the country divided by its total population. Remember this per capita income. This is going to come in economics number of times again and again. So remember this term per capita income. Per capita income is the total income of the country divided by its total population. It's very easy to remember. Okay. In World Developmental Reports brought out by the World Bank, this criterion of per capita income is used in classifying countries. So the countries with per capita income of US dollars 12,736 per annum and above means those countries whose per capita income is $12,736 US dollars and above in 2013 were considered as rich countries. Okay, and those countries with a per capita income of US dollars 1045 or less in 2013 are called the low income countries. India's per capita income in 2013 was US dollars 1570. Okay, so India comes in the low middle income category. Okay, India comes in the low middle income category. Okay, now the Middle East countries. So these rich countries, those who have good per capita, they are called developed countries. But so most of the Western countries, okay, the rich countries, America, the Western countries, they are considered to be developed countries. But the countries in the Middle East, they too are rich, but they are not called developed countries. Why? Because they have become rich. Why? Because of the resource which they have, that is the oil. The oil producing countries, they are all rich countries, but they are not called developed countries just because these countries lack development. In what they lack? They don't have educational facilities, they lack in development in lack of educational and health care. So these are two important things which they lack. Okay, so with economical development, with this two is also very important. Then only the country are called developed countries. So on page number 9, okay, let's see what has been given about. They have shown how considering average income, okay, it is useful for comparison, but it also hides some disparities, the differences. It is hiding. The per capita income is useful for comparison, no doubt, but it hides something from us. Now, what it hides, let us see now. Okay, here in table 1.2, they are given two countries, A and B, and for the sake of simplicity, we have assumed that they have only 5 citizens each. Now, based on the data given in table 1.2, calculate the average income for both the countries. Now, you have to calculate the average. Now, what you see in this table, table 1.2, this country A, this country B, and there are 5 citizens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and their monthly income has been given. So in country A, if you see, just look in your book. So in country A, they have shown the first person, his income is 9,500 monthly income, second is 10,500, the third one's income is 9,800, the fourth one gets 10,000 his monthly income, and the fifth one has 10,200. Now, if you find the average, how you are going to find the average? Add this income and divide it by 5. So it goes to, the average comes to how much? Is 10,000. Okay, because the sum of this goes to 50,000, you divide it by 5, you get the average as 10,000. Now let us look at country B. The monthly income of the first person is 500, the second person is 500, the third person is again 500, and the fourth two is 500 rupees every month. Whereas the monthly income of the fifth person is 48,000. Now if you add up these figures, again you come up to 50,000 rupees, just like of country A, and the average income of people in country B also comes to 10,000. So the per capita income or the average income of both the countries is 10,000. Now tell me, in which country would you like to stay? Country A or country B? Naturally country A. Because what you see is that though the average income in both the countries are the same, okay, there is not much difference in the income of the people staying in country A. There is very little difference between two persons getting income. Then the income is monthly income almost the same. Whereas in country B, what you see is that only one person is extra rich. His income is 48,000 per month, whereas the rest four are very poor. So you have to be lucky enough to be the fifth person. Then only you can live a happy life in country B. Okay? Otherwise, you will remain poor in country B. Whereas in country A, the distribution is more or less equal. Okay? So naturally, one will like to live in country A. So from this you can say that while average income is useful for comparison, the per capita income is useful for comparison, it does not tell us how this income is distributed among the people of that country. Okay? It doesn't tell us how it has been distributed among the people of that country. So they have shown it, illustrated it with the help of a picture. In the left hand side, what you see, 5 people are sharing 4 chairs. Okay? 5 people are sharing 4 chairs. But in the right hand side, what you see, a single person is using all those 4 chairs, whereas the other 4 are sharing just 2 chairs. So it's difficult for them to live because a single person is using more of the resources of that country. Whereas here there is equal use of resources of that country. Okay, so you got the difference how average income is, though average income helps in comparing, you can't get the exact picture of the income of the people of that country on the basis of only the per capita income or the average income. Okay. Now that's why we have to see what other criteria are important to see whether the country is developed or not. Okay. See, now here in table 1.3 they have given the per capita income of select states. In my book, they have given the per capita income of the states of Maharashtra, Kerala and Bihar, and the per capita income for the year 2013 and 14. Okay. So, what you see is that the per capita income in Maharashtra, all people of Maharashtra, is 1,17,091 in rupees, whereas in Kerala the per capita income is 1,03,820 rupees, whereas that of Bihar is just 31,199 rupees. So, if you consider per capita income, the per capita income of Maharashtra is the highest, and that of Bihar is the least. So, according to per capita income, we have to consider Maharashtra as the most developed state among the 3. But is it so? That's what we are going to see ahead, whether Maharashtra is the most developed state compared to Kerala and Bihar. That's why I said in just a few minutes before that per capita income does not give us the fact, the figures about what is the condition of the people of that state or that country, because along with better income, there are other goals such as security, respect for others, freedom, health related issues. All this also important to be considered as development. Okay, so in table 1.4 what you are going to see, let us see now how these same states, Maharashtra, Kerala and Bihar, are compared in other fields other than the income. Now, here you see the infant mortality rate per 1,000 live births is 24 in Maharashtra, 12 in Kerala and 42 in Bihar. Now, do you know what is infant mortality rate? Who is an infant, by the way? Infant is a child below the age of 1 year. Okay, so 1 month to 12 months age children are called infants. Infant mortality means the children which are dying before they celebrate their first birthday. Okay, so if a child dies in 12 months from the day it has taken birth, okay, then it is said to be infant mortality. And what is infant mortality rate? Infant mortality rate is, how do you calculate infant mortality rate? The number of deaths of infants, okay, in infants in 1 year. Okay, means from the time they have born, okay, if they die within 1 year, the number of children who have died within 1 year of their birth divided by the total number of children born. Okay, whatever, you have to divide them with the total number of children born, the number of children which have died in the first year of their birth, and you have to divide them with the number of live births. Okay, not births which are means stillbirths or fetal deaths. Some children they die in the fetus, some babies they die in the fetus. Okay, that is not considered. Or some baby stillbirth means when they are born at that time they are already dead, or sometimes in miscarriage, so they are not considered. Only live births. Okay, live births you have to divide number of infants which have died in the first year after their birth, divide them with the total number of births in that year, and to that answer what you get, you have to multiply by 1000, and then what you get is the infant mortality rate. So what you see here is that the infant mortality rate in Maharashtra is 24, whereas that in Kerala is just 12, half of Maharashtra. Okay, and that of Bihar is 42, very very high. मतलब 42 out of 1000